What's up guys, David here and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. This week is all about getting you into your very first studio. Then as we go on, we're going to look a little bit more into how we can make our studio even better and how we could potentially move into our second or an even bigger studio. And the only way we could potentially start this week off was by inviting Wayne Large on. Now if you don't know who Wayne Large is, he specialises in getting you into your first studio, and his own journey has taken him from one studio to a bigger studio to an even bigger studio. So today I'm going to grill him with all kinds of different questions that we need to know to be able to get you into your very first studio. But before we do dive into today's episode, if you haven't already subscribed or followed us on any other social media channels, then press pause and press subscribe, and then let's dive into this week's guest interview with Wayne Large. What's up guys and welcome to this week's guest interview. This week we have Wayne Large all the way down in southern England, is that right?
Yeah, in North Devon.
Nice. And how are things down there? Is the weather a bit warmer than it is here in Cardiff?
It's freezing this morning. It's like -1, so no, it's cold.
It feels like this last week or so, it's just suddenly, the temperature's suddenly dropped. Yeah, it's gone from like kind of being okay in a jumper to now you got to wear proper coats and everything. So Wayne, first time on this podcast, on the show, and today we're going to talk about opening multiple facilities that open big studios and stuff. So it's going to be quite an interesting one for those that have the aspiration to open their first or kind of want to get out of where they are and open a much bigger one. But before we dive into all this, for people that don't know who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about how you got started and kind of how you've got to where you are now?
Yeah. Previous life, I was a critical care nurse, so I was working in ICU, CCU. I was already working with a few like competitive bodybuilders, just helping them with their prep and stuff like that. Anyway, and I just thought, you know what, hanging out in the gym and just training people seemed like a much better idea than standing in ICU watching people like really struggle. So I've said to my wife, look babe, I think I'm going to be a personal trainer. And she just went, yeah, cool. What's that look like? We went through a few things. Anyway, went through the training, as you do, the joke that is training is qualifying to be a personal trainer in this country. I did that. And then I started, I guess I didn't have a clue. Do you know what? The biggest thing I always reflect back on is like, I think I named the business WR Fitness because, you do, don't you? And set up, registered it with HMRC, did all the things you're supposed to do when you're going into self-employment. And then one day I just thought I need to really, this isn't working. Me just traveling I was traveling to Taunton, which is like an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes on a good run. So I was traveling to Taunton, training clients in fitness first, doing a 10-hour, 12-hour day there, and then driving back. So I was leaving North Devon about 5:30, 6:15 in the morning, and getting home by about 10, 10:30 at night. And I was doing that every day. And I just thought, you know what, I need to build some clients up locally. So I started doing that, and I was just going around people's homes, the standard, step box, barbells, dumbbells, just, turn up, unload the car, go in the house, train them. And then I had the offer of renting a small office space off one of my clients. So I took her up on that. And then people were starting to come to me. So that was like literally going from like being able to do, say, 7 clients a day to being able to do 10 clients a day. So again, it means I could take on more. And then I opened the first specific personal training studio. And I think, to be honest, I don't think anybody can correct me, but I think I was the first to open a one-to-one specific coaching facility, particularly in North Devon, probably in the southwest, to be honest. That was just focused purely on that. And it kind of grew from there. And then we grew up to opening, and there were 4 after that, each one bigger than the other. And now, this latest one, which we took on in October of 2019, spent a lot of money doing it as we want, and then everybody knows what happened in March. It's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely must have been a nervous time. Like you just opened, you kitted it all out, and next thing you know, like lockdown is here.
Yeah.
But we've all come out the other side. But two things that you mentioned there right at the start was the name. So how important is it to have the right name slash branding with that name to your fitness business? So take DK9 for us. When I started, I was like DK Fitness. Sounds like very similar to other people's type of setups. Let's make it a little bit different. And like
Okay.
you said, you were do you say WL Fitness you
Yeah.
were?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now you've changed or you've rebranded to
Yeah.
Absolute.
So
So
in
how important is it?
personally, I look at the end of the day. I've described the way I've learned about business is kind of like falling down the stairs, but I just haven't broken anything yet, so it's all good. But for me personally, the brand was. I started to read about brand probably about 10 years ago when I really started getting into like, what drives a person to somebody, creating destination businesses rather than, solution businesses. So for me, I want to create a business that was a destination where people would go to because they've heard of the results you deliver, the setup, the customer service, everything. So, and I just thought, who's Wayne Large in the fitness industry, really, like, who am I? I'm nobody really. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a well-known named person in the industry. So who's going to buy potentially? Because obviously back then I'm reading all about business, and you're building a business to exit, maybe to sell. So I'm thinking, who's going to buy WL? You know, if you're an England rugby player and you've retired and opened up gyms, somebody might buy that. Valentine, somebody might buy his thing, but nobody's buying mine. And then I just got the theory of Absolute purely because we take care of nutrition, we take care of training, injury, medical as well. So it's kind of like, well, we're Absolute, we're everything. So that's where kind of Absolute came from. And then obviously off the back of that, we have our Absolute Education, we have our Absolute Beauty. So we've kind of like, built out the brand as we've gone, really.
Yeah.
So I think the name really is massively important.
And let's go back to one of the other things before we dive into like the studio and all that type of stuff. You
Yeah.
mentioned the long days you were doing. You travel an hour and a half. You do like these 12, 15-hour days. And like
Yeah.
I remember it like you're working like 6 or 7 days a week non-stop. How important is that for a beginner? Is it necessary to be doing what we used to do, literally coach every hour on the hour all day? Or do you think people can actually just get a couple of sessions a week and actually really grow from there and not have to do as many hours?
Oh man, you know what? I sit on both sides of the fence because, okay, yeah, it's really important. If you're trying to build a business of substance and growth, and you're trying to build one that will provide for you, your family, and stuff like that, is it necessary? No, not necessarily, because if you're happy earning X and you're happy working for X, then it shouldn't really matter. Me personally, I absolutely love what I do, and I hate to use the word hustle, but I love it. I love doing the long days. I find weekends frustrate me because I do take weekends off now, and they kind of frustrate me. By Sunday, I'm absolutely itching to get back to it. Much to the frustration of my wife, but that's the way life is. I don't think it's essential. It is. You set yourself up if you're not charging what you're worth. So therefore, i.e., you've got to exchange lots and lots of hours for money to make money. Yeah, does that make sense? So so generally what you find is the people that are doing them kind of hours are probably not really looked at their products and what their own self value is. So if you value yourself more, then you probably don't need to.
Yeah, and that's like the key message there really from that is make sure you're always paying attention to everything you do, because there's always places that you can update and upgrade and change everything. So if what you're doing isn't working, then you need to look into it and start fixing it. Okay, so I run a boot camp. I'm doing a couple of sessions in Pure Gym. I've got a nice client base, and I've really got this itch to kind of get my own studio. I've seen a lot of people do it, people in your group, people in my group. You've seen people post about having their own studio. How do you know when you're ready to actually get a studio? Is there a point? Is there a certain income? Is there a certain number of clients? Or how do you know when you're ready you should start getting your own studio?
I think if you start waiting for the right time, it will never be the right time. So, you'll be like, if I get one more client, that will give me X amount of money, and then I can potentially have the money, and then I can take the chance, take the risk. There's never going to be the right time to do it. It's just a case of doing it. But there are a degree of things you will really want to take into account before you just go and sign a lease. Because what people don't realize is you are signing a financial commitment. You are responsible to that financial commitment. If you sign a 5-year lease at 30 grand, you're 150 grand in the hole. And that person has every right, unless it's written in a clause anywhere, to come after that 150 grand. If after 12 months you think, actually, do you know what, I can't make this work, they've got every right to come after the rest of their money because they've signed an agreement. And I don't think people take that into account. Generally, your audience will tell you the demand is there. If you're working in a place right now that frustrates you because you can't get enough people in, there's not enough time slots for you to utilize to grow your business within that place, then it's definitely time to look for somewhere to go. So if it's holding you back from earning more money or living the life that you want, that's usually a sign. That's usually a sign that it's time to think, okay, I need to find somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm working at a pure gym, for example. I'm the highest charging person there. I'm literally full all the time. I'm getting inquiries all the time. So I've been looking, and I found a studio. Is there anything I should be looking for when I go on Rightmove or Zoopla or any of these websites that help me track down and find a unit?
So first things first, look at who your client is. Who is it you're serving? Who is your? I mean, I hate to use that word ideal client because obviously we can train. We can work with pretty much anybody really to a degree, can't we? So we're more than happy to work with all ages. That's great, but now you're looking at affordability. So if you're the kind of person who you are selling your personal training at a good rate, and that's what you want to do. First, you identify what kind of business do you want to be. If it's personal training, you're going to be a higher end. Where are your clients? Where are your high-end clients? Where do they eat? Where do they hang out? What do they like? Where do they live? What kind of house do they live in? How much is it worth? Then it's more likely that you think, well, actually, do you know what? I think I'm going to open a small studio, boutique, in that area where the clients that I'm after live. You find that by looking at your census. You go to the local and find out the census, find out the makeup of your town, how many people live in your town, how many people on certain income, how many people, professional couples, where the most, where's the most affluent areas. And again, remember we're talking about if you're that person who believes that they sell a higher end product and they're after a certain degree of client. Go to the census. It will tell you everything you need to know about your town. You don't know everything about your town, even though you might think you do. You know what I mean? So find out where that is, and then that way you can now look at, okay, there is no point me looking at these units or this place in that area because it's the other end of town. The clients that I'm after probably won't necessarily travel to that, but you might go, well, actually, I know. So if we're looking at London and you're thinking, well, I'm after the executive, then maybe being in central London would be perfect. You're going to pay a lot on the retail, but you're more likely to get loads of people. But if you're like me in a seaside town, I need to kind of think, well, okay, where's the biggest places? So I'm quite close to town. I've looked at where the majority of the houses that are over 250,000 are, and my place is right on the corner of several estates around where the houses start at 250, 300, 400 and upwards. So, I did my due diligence, looked at where's my audience? Where are the people that I'm trying to attract? So the minute we came here, people were, I can't believe you're on my doorstep. So it was exactly the response we wanted. So first and foremost, who is it you're trying to serve? Where are they? Then you start looking at places that you could possibly rent around that area.
So I've done all the due diligence. I've kind of found the unit. I approached them. On the rough estimate, how long does it usually take to move into a unit once you've found it?
It really depends on the landlord. Generally, pretty quick. There's just one mistake that most people make, and the first thing they do is that first they'll try and negotiate with the landlord on rent, which is fair enough. Go for it, you should do. And then they get the lease, and then they take it off to a solicitor, which is the biggest mistake you can make when opening a facility. Remember, a solicitor's job is just to check the legals, to make sure there's nothing illegal within the document. They're not the ones who will necessarily tell you that what you're signing for is worth it. So is the building that I'm signing for, based on the rental value of that, is it worth it? What you really need there is a surveyor. So the surveyor then, if you've got a good surveyor, your surveyor then will say, well, actually, hang about, based on the value of this building and what they're trying to charge you rent, it's unrealistic. You've now got a better negotiating tool to go back to the landlord and say, look, dude, your building's worth 200,000, you're trying to charge me 40,000 a year for rent. The value, the market value of it is this based on what my surveyor told me. And that's your arguing point. A solicitor's not going to do that for you. A solicitor's going to make sure that there's nothing illegal in the document.
Nice.
That has literally just saved everybody listening thousands and thousands of pounds.
Or you still don't get a solicitor? No.
I mean, you still want to sign off the legals to make sure it's all legal, but you really, if you're negotiating rent and you want to make sure that, sounds like a good deal to me because I know somebody up the road is paying a lot more than me.
Yeah.
Not a good way to judge whether that's a valued building. You want to make sure that you're paying the right rent based on the right value of the building.
And like you say, in those contracts, they do put sneaky things in that a solicitor might just kind of be happy with. But like some of them, our unit is not too bad. We can leave it in any condition we want as long as we take everything out. But some of them, you have to return walls to their previous state. You have to remove any additional plumbing or electrics that you've put in because they want it back to its original shell. So definitely read those contracts. Yeah,
it's so frustrating because like my last place was 3,500 square feet. We spent a fortune. We put ceilings in, toilets, showers. So there was no actual running water to it or anything. We sorted all that. And then luckily the physio that was working with us, she wanted to take the place on. She said, no, leave it as it is. But the landlord wanted us to take it back to basically the bare bones, which would have cost me thousands to literally. So luckily she did that. And I didn't think that he would want that because we've massively improved that building. Like the value of that building must have gone up with what we've done to it.
Yeah.
But it's like, no. It's you have to. I don't think it's because he has a clue himself. He just remembers the solicitor saying, well, do you want it returned back to its normal state? And he's probably gone, yeah. So that's what he was saying. But again, negotiate with your landlord and say, look, I've improved the building. I mean, if you spray graffiti everywhere, then that's different. Paint the walls. But most landlords will be like, no, actually, do you know what? I'm glad you put that really nice bathroom and toilet in because now I've now got a better rentable building. So generally, communication is key.
Cool. Okay, so I've got this unit now. It's a fair price. I'm happy with it. So that is the cost of the building. Let's say it's £1,000 a month or something.
Yeah.
What other costs haven't I thought about when it comes to actually the running of this building of the business?
Wow. Okay. Cool. Those VAT for a start. Insurances. Any insurances, any insurance clause. Are you responsible for the contents and buildings, or are you just responsible for contents? Utilities, gas, electric, water, business rates. I see so many people take on a building because they think, well, at the moment it's not rated. Cool, but it doesn't mean that's going to be like it forever. You have to anticipate the fact that we all get these business rates, we all get this business rate relief. But if suddenly it changes, which I think really looking at it, if you look at the world financially at the moment, there's some money to be clawed back somehow. So we're all getting these rent, and rate reliefs. Somebody's going to come for that money at some point. Don't bite off more than you can chew. So I mean they're the main ones really. Your utilities, VAT, VAT on the building. So if it's £1,000 a month, it'll be plus VAT. 9 times out of 10 they've got VAT with them. And then I guess little things that will crop up from time to time, like repairs. Always making sure you got operating cash.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like one of the things I didn't consider when we opened this one was bin collection.
Yeah,
because you'd never consider you rubbish in your bin and the bin man collects it.
Yeah,
it's the opposite for the commercial property. You have to pay for someone to come and remove the rubbish, which things you don't consider.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's all down to just literally making a massive list of your due diligence. So you'd have what I did is I created a book. So the book of opening a facility. So what's stage one? Well, stage one is, where are my clients? Who am I after? What kind of product do I want to sell? And where are those people that will buy my product? And then location. Okay, based on that, these are the locations that I'm looking for facilities. What kind of money am I looking for? What kind of size am I looking for? That was the next consideration. And then it's case on, based on the size of that building, what are my costs? So my rent is going to be X, my VAT is going to be X, list it. And then once you've got built out that whole map, you'll know whether you're ready now to do it or whether you need to do some things to make yourself ready to go for it.
So let's kind of just change a little bit from the building, the costs and stuff like that, because we know the costs, we know the rents, the VAT, the tax, the water, the bin, all this type of stuff. And they're like, you know what, my one-to-one model isn't really going to work. I think I need to move to small group or large group or change my business model. Have you ever had to change your business model, and kind of how difficult is it to communicate that to clients?
Okay, no. One-to-one was always going to be, at the end of the day, I've been around 20 years. I've been doing this nearly full-time as a PT. And over the years, I've heard people say, well, you make more money with groups, you make money this way, X multiplied by X is better than 1 multiplied by. But I love one-to-one. It's what I love. It's what my passion is. It's, what I love to teach. We charge for it. We always have done, and we never apologize for it. The only thing we've ever changed is we started, especially when we got bigger facilities, is we added things like small group and large group and specifics and male programs, female programs. We added all that as an extra. But, if something's not working, you have to ask yourself, what is it? What's broken? Because there is a demand. There is going to be, how many one-to-one clients do I want? Well, I only want 10. Cool. So I can't find 10 people in a town of 100,000 people that want to work for me. And I know you do ads and stuff like that, David, but if you ignore that for a second, I think you could probably find 10 clients to work with you before you even run an ad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So what is it that's broken? Is it the fact I'm not delivering results? Is it the fact that people don't know that I can deliver results? Is my message not out there? Is my brand not clear? Do people not know where I am? There's so many other factors before you kind of go, yeah, that's not working, I'm going to get small group. Because if you can't sell one-to-one, you're probably going to sell small group. And then you get into that mindset of, well, it's because PT is expensive and people can't afford it. Bullshit. People can, but not all people. So then what you do is you lower your product, you lower your price, go, right, I'm going to go for groups now because I can sell £100 a month much easier than I can sell £400 a month. Well, nothing's changed. You're now still trying to talk to people who £100 is still a lot of money for. Yeah, so it's still broken. You haven't fixed anything, but in your head, hey, it's okay, cool. I can sell £100. Yeah, you just talk to a different, I'll do boot camp then. So I'll charge £50 for boot camp. Doesn't matter. £50 is still a lot of money to people in that, that bracket. So nothing changes. It's just your shit's broken. Fix it.
Nice. Okay. So I'm happy with the model now. I've got my unit. I know all my costs and everything. The only thing I haven't done so far now is kitted out my gym.
Okay.
How do we go about kitting out our gym? Do I just buy all the best stuff? Do I buy just a real basic stuff? Do I have to buy from a certain make? Like, we're going to be so excited. We're Fit Pros. We want the best, the heaviest dumbbells and so forth. What is the best strategy for kitting out a brand new gym?
All right. So first thing you have to understand, again, let's say we've established that we are going to be a one-to-one facility. I'm just going to use that as an example, right? Well, you have to accept that you're going to be working with people one-to-one. Most people don't know what a leg press is, a leg extension is. They don't know what a squat rack is. They don't know they just don't know. You know what it is. So in your mind, you think we need that. We've got to have a leg press, and I've got to get a Watson special machine because it's Watson, and I've got to do this, right? And then you kit this gym out and you start telling everybody about your amazing leg press and you've got all this latest kit. Mrs. Smith, who just wants to lose 2 or 3 stone, doesn't give a shit. What she wants to know is, can you get me results? She's not really particularly bothered about what you're going to use to help her get them results. She just wants to know, can you get me results? So when it comes to doing out the kit, again, it's like, what kind of coaching do I want to do? So am I going to be the kind of coach who's going to do more strength conditioning based coaching? Therefore, yes, you are going to need racks and you're going to need, barbells and weights. Am I the kind of person who's going to be off? So we have a gym within our facility. We've got a fully equipped gym, which is exclusively private to our one-to-one clients. So our group training clients and everybody else, nobody else can access it. It's not a gym to everybody, just exclusive for our one-to-one. So we know that when they're working with us, it's fine, but they're also working in our facility towards their program, get faster results. So yeah, we've got a fully equipped gym, partly because I wanted it, because I want to use a gym. But, again, when it comes to kitting it, who is your audience? What kind of coaching are you going to do? And then that's where you choose what kit. Don't get caught up with that you need the latest all singing, dancing, because other PTs know that your gym has got great kit. Your customer who's actually going to be paying you doesn't.
Yeah. We were talking, do you know Hugh Phillips? We had Hugh Phillips on the podcast, though. Was it last week or the week before? And we were talking about this stuff. And we were saying, like, the hex dumbbells, we just go for the cheapest hex dumbbells because the clients don't know. But if you go in for like a ski erg, we know the best quality make is going to be a Concept 3 or Concept 2 or whatever it is. So that's the one we kind of go for. Clients, they have no idea. They see a dumbbell. It doesn't need to be a circular dumbbell, a hex dumbbell, a triangle dumbbell, or whatever. They just see it as the dumbbell. So you do have to make that, because there's a big difference in price. A hex dumbbell, what do you reckon? £3.50 a kilo at the minute, maybe 4 kilos.
Yeah, but even that's expensive nowadays. But yeah.
A circular dumbbell, I don't know, you could be paying £5, £6 a kilo. So it adds up so quick. Yeah.
I've gone over top on the branding. All my dumbbells, even down to my plates, are all branded. But again, we charge quite good money for what we do, and brand and the look is really important, because that's the kind of client that we're going for. Because we established a long time ago, we're going for the clients who, they go through COVID or they go through a recession, they don't miss the money they're paying us.
Somebody's just commented saying they thought it was $2 a kilo was high for dumbbells, for weights. Bloody hell. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And then, like you say, as you're developing, like you say, as you've moved from studio to studio, you've added better equipment in, you've been able to replace the old ones and bring new stuff in.
Yeah.
So is there anything else do you think we haven't covered for somebody really kind of opening a new studio or just getting started with their first studio?
No, although anytime I've helped people do it, I've just made them do their homework. So, it literally is doing your homework. Remember, you're committing, you're making a financial commitment to opening that facility. The other thing you want to make sure is that you want to make sure it's going to work. Don't let that put you off. There's nothing wrong with if it goes wrong. There's no failure. You didn't fail. There's just some things you needed to learn. It's only a failure if you don't learn from it. So if you're learning from it and you can then apply that to the next studio or the next thing you do, then like your due diligence, making sure that you are armed with all the information before you press the button, will literally save you lots of time and money.
Cool. Okay, so before we move on to really scale into a second studio or a bigger studio and stuff, we're doing one-to-one PT at the studio, and that's all we're doing. Should we be adding additional income streams into the business, or am I okay just to focus on that one sole product or service?
No, I'm a huge fan of multiple income streams. We were talking just briefly before we started this about we've all seen it. We've all been in the industry long enough to see the 10K a month business, the hundreds, 6 figures, blah, 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 that every guru out there sells. And it's quite overwhelming. It's actually quite difficult to just to add 10 grand from one product. So if you're a PT selling your PT at £1,000 a month, you still got to get another 10 clients that are that kind of money where they can spend £1,000 a month on PT. So I'm a massive fan. So if then what you would do is you do your small group and you charge a premium. And even if that small group, it's easier to have 10 things make you £1,000 a month than it is to find one thing to make you 10. Less pressure, easier to do. So you would definitely make sure that you've got your small group program, your large group program, There's 3 income streams straight away. And if they only make you £1,000 a month each, so be it. Then you start finding more.
So at what points then do you start adding additional income streams in? Like you say, you're doing one-to-one at the minute, it's going well, you're more or less fully booked. When do you know it's the right time to add? Or what other, like you say, income streams should you really be adding, or which ones are ones that we're not considering?
For us, it was when one-to-one was maxed out, and it was a case of bringing in other coaches, and then which we've done. But it was to be able to hit a different price bracket. So not everybody can afford £400, £600, and £800 a month PT. So we had to find people who could probably afford 150, 195. So we created our small group programs, and that's what we charged for that. And then we did our groups, our combined group, which includes like spin, yoga, Pilates, HIIT classes, and we then brought that down at 60 quid. So there's basically what would happen is, so for me, it's all about sale. So if you come in for PT and you go, oh, yeah, that's a bit tight for me, I'm not going to be able to afford that. Okay, so you love everything we do here. You've seen the results we get. Yeah, that's why I've come here. Okay, so would you consider maybe working in small groups with people? You're still going to have a coach. You're still going to get everything you need, the accountability. You're still going to get the results. It's just the price now is only 150 to 195, depending on what you want to do. Does that sound more affordable to you? Yeah, that'd be great. Can I find out more information about that? That was the point when we decided that we need to add all the products. When people start walking out the door because they can't afford £400, £600, and £800, and I don't like losing sales, and I don't like waving goodbye to money. So it was a case of okay, so let's do that, and then we did that again, and then we did things like we do specialist groups for men and women. So males 40, female 40. Multiple different ways of bringing in money into the business.
Nice. Okay, so the studio is pumping. We've been going a good year and a half. We've got maybe a staff member, maybe 2 staff members. Like we're relatively busy more or less all the time. I've got this thing in the back of my head. You know what? I might open a second unit.
Okay.
Should I go and open a second unit, or should I maybe go and just get a bigger unit? What would your suggestions be on that point? Should you open 2, or should you just go for a bigger one?
That's a really good question, man. So personally, I've heard people say, I want to make sure that the one I've got now is perfect. Once this is perfect, I'm going to do it again and stuff like that. Well, there's no such thing as perfect. If you're going to operate on 80, 85%, then it's good. If you know that when you open number 2, I personally don't like the whole idea of open. I would not open another one within North Devon. It would be outside of North Devon in another town completely. I think when you've got to a point where you know that, I wouldn't say you've maximized your town, because you're never going to maximize your town, but you're at a certain level and you go, okay, next to opening another bigger size one, I'm well aware of what the capacity of what we can make out of this facility. So next to then getting another one that's even bigger and serving even more, I think it's time to go and play in another town. So I think really what you need ultimately is a good team behind you, and 1 or 2 people ain't going to cut it. I think when I've probably got about 12 people who work within Absolute. So at that point, I can go and open up a facility. I know I can leave my team to this. I know I've got members of the team I could send to open and do all the work to get them the next ones open. So for me, that's where it'd be. You've got to have a solid team. Your systems have got in place. You've literally got to be able to rinse and repeat. Everything you did for number 1 should be documented, should be recorded, should be a system, an operating system, so you could literally roll into another town, open up your playbook, follow the rules, and it should do exactly what number 1 did.
Nice. Okay, so let's move a little bit away about studios and stuff like that before we do finish, because I'm guessing a lot of people are quite interested in how you've managed to grow it. So what are your kind of lead gen and your sales tactics, strategies, kind of whatever word you kind of wanted to put to them? So lead gen and sales, how are you being able to find these clients, and how are you able to sell to these clients?
Content. lots and lots and lots and lots of content. Be everywhere. And when I say that, I don't mean that it means you should be on LinkedIn, you should be on this, you should be on that. Like, make sure that wherever platforms you play on, that you are consistent with the work that you do. Facebook ads work really, really well for awareness. I think people, and again, I know you do that as a business as well, mate. But I think people I don't know if you agree, but I think people put way too much emphasis on their Facebook ads before they've got everything else in place. So I've always said to people, like, cool. So if I run an ad for you and it launches and you go bang, and suddenly I give you 50 leads, have you got the facility to call them, facilitate them, onboard them, make sure they get what you've promised that they will get, see them through the whole process, and then do you have an upsell at the end? 9 times out of 10, they haven't. All they've seen is, David is really, really good at running Facebook ads. He'll get me 30 leads. I need that, and then bang, yeah. And then, but they've got nothing else in place. So for me, what we've made sure is that we're at onboarding systems on point, that we don't drop the ball first and foremost. So Facebook's great for awareness, great for letting everybody know organically and paid. We'll do paid awareness. That doesn't necessarily mean it's asking anything of anybody. I'm not asking anybody necessarily to buy. Just that's it. And then the biggest one that I think people underestimate is Google My Business. That is huge, and I imagine if most people sent me their website, I can go and check and see that they've probably not put anything on Google My Business ever, or probably not for the last so many times. And it's one of the most viewed things. So when people land on the site, the beautiful thing is now you've got your reviews, and that's a massive one. Reviews, Google reviews is huge. People will check out instantly because it's right there in front of them. Will check out your business before they even click to go and watch your website.
Yeah, Google is like, I don't know, it's one of those things. It's almost like a little social media channel of itself. The post lasts, I think it's 30 days the post lasts for on the actual home base of it. So, yeah. I mean, massive. But going back to that Facebook thing you were saying, and this is so key for anybody, because a lot of people at the minute, let's say their account has been hacked or Facebook goes down or something. If you literally put all your baskets into just Facebook ads, and Mark decides, you know what, I give up on Facebook, let's shut it all down. How much trouble are you going to be in if everything is just focused on this lead gen strategy? So like you say, try and be everywhere, just telling the world about your service. Yeah.
The worst thing is people jump because what they hear is, David's making a kill on Facebook, so he must be, I'm going to go do Facebook. And then they hear that, actually, I'll do Google ads. And then they go, actually, no, Google ads is quite expensive. So I'll go back to Facebook, and then TikTok comes out, so everybody knows jumps on the TikTok. And that's great. You should definitely go playing across all the platforms for sure, but don't stop one. Like if you're making £10,000 a month from personal training, and start bringing groups, you wouldn't switch off one-to-one. You would keep doing one-to-one and then do your small group. But people do that within their marketing. What they do is they go, this isn't really working for me. So what I'll do is I'll go and try that. Just like we said right at the beginning, where people go like, one-to-one isn't really working for me, so I'm going to go to small groups. There's something broken. So if it ain't working in Facebook, it ain't going to work in Google, it ain't going to work in LinkedIn, it ain't going to work in YouTube ads, it ain't going to work anywhere. So really, the way we do our lead gen is to making sure that everyone knows the brand. The brand is huge first and foremost. They know what we stand for, who we are, where we are, and that's literally what your marketing should be. Who are you? What do you do? And how can I find you? And however you need to deliver that. And again, do your due diligence. How many people in your town are using Facebook? What are the age range of people using Facebook? So if you're selling, boot camps to 25-year-olds, and it turns out that most people using Facebook in your town are 40, your ads are falling.
Cool. Okay, so to finish, is there anything that you think we haven't covered when it comes to opening a studio, maintaining a studio, growing out of your current studio? Is there anything that we haven't covered do you think we should know about?
Yeah, I guess the only thing would be is if it's just you, and your first instance is to hire another PT, that's probably not always going to be your first choice. So if you're the person that's basically doing all the programming, doing the admin, doing anything else, the contact. The biggest thing clients will remember, they will remember the little things. They won't necessarily remember that you've changed their program and that you looked their food for them, but they will remember that little email that you sent on that random Wednesday afternoon to say, hey, David, just thinking about you. I was doing so and so and so, reminding me of our session. Good to connect. Looking forward to carrying on a conversation next week. They'll remember that more than they'll remember anything else. So you might not always have that time to do that, and you're going, fucking hell, Wayne, I ain't got time to do that. Cool. That's where your admin comes in. That's where you say to your admin, hey, will you do me a favor? Will you contact this client, this client, this client? Tell them that I'm looking forward to seeing them on Tuesday, that I really enjoyed their session, and I hope Mrs. Smith was okay at dental. She will remember that.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree on that. If you're super busy and it's just you, do not get another trainer. You're busy because it's you. Clients are coming because it's you, it's your vibe, it's your energy, it's your setup. They just love everything about you. If you pull you out, a lot of things change quickly. So keep you in and just like you say, go and get that assistant, the salesperson, somebody who can do the jobs that isn't what you're there for. When you get to a certain level, like me and Wayne now, I'm not sure how many sessions you do, Wayne, but I'm guessing you're not in as much anymore because it's not all about you anymore. It's all about like the brand, the feeling, the experience of coming to Absolute.
And again, I think like when it comes to hiring people, it's the same as stop trying to be a web designer, stop trying to be a marketing person, stop trying to be a graphics person. Before you go, actually, do you know what? I'm going to bring in another trainer because I don't want to work 40 hours. I want to be home at 5 o'clock having dinner with my kids. We all do. I get it. Totally get that. But that should not be a reason for hiring another trainer so you can go home early to hang out with your family. It should be a case of like, how can I utilize my time better? If I get an admin or I get I hire a marketing person to take care of all the marketing, there's other ways to use that money more wisely than necessarily repeating you just so you, because generally that's what happens. People go, oh yeah, I'm going home at 5. My coach comes in, takes over for me. Cool. Nothing's actually changed. You're still in the same boat. That means when you get home, you're now they're not going to hire you, David, to do Facebook ads because you're expensive, but they'll pay the personal trainer like 4 times the rate per month so they can go home early. Doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? Wouldn't it be better to actually take some of that money, hire David to run my ads for me? Then he brings in more clients. I make more money. Then that money hires the next coach. But now I've got a marketing person filling 2 of us out. And now I need an admin person. So the admin person is going to take care so the clients get looked after when they're not with me. Now you're starting to build a team. 4 personal trainers or training people does not a business make.
Nice. And I think potentially that's what we need to do. We need to kind of book in another interview further down the line and dive into the systems which you've mentioned, staffing, which you've mentioned, business setup. So yeah, I think if anybody watching live or future on, we'll definitely try and get Wayne back to talk about these other aspects which are not stuff that we've talked about so far. But to finish off really quickly, Wayne, for anybody who was inspired, motivated, interested, want to know a little bit more about you or Absolute, how can people reach out and potentially have a chat with you?
They can email me if they want. I'll just keep it simple. Just WayneLarge70@gmail.com. Just drop me an email. I'm happy to do it. And I'm not one of these guys to be like, yeah, no, if you want a question from me, you're going to have to pay me X. I'm more than happy to help out. I've had, this industry has given me a very good life and a good lifestyle. So, if I can help some people out, I'm more than happy to do it.
Nice. Wayne, appreciate you coming on today. And everybody that is tuned in, don't forget you just reach out to Wayne via email, or I'm guessing you can find you on Facebook if you're on Facebook as well. Wayne, again, thanks for coming on, and we'll probably see you in another couple of weeks or another couple of months.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
No worries. Okay, so that was Wayne giving us a great insight into setting up what we need and so much more when it comes to getting our very first studio. As usual, if you do like these interviews, then definitely comment us below. Let us know what your thoughts, any questions that you do have, or if you ever want to reach out to any of the guests, feel free to do that. I'm going to leave it there and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Cheers.